My sister framed me of rope 8 years ago, but the truth has finally been revealed. My sister Rachel was always the golden child in the family. Growing up, she could do no wrong. High school ended and I didn't complain much, but I felt I had to move out and explore things on my own as well. For the next few years, I went to college in a different city, and in 5 years got my MBA. Managed to land a job back in my home city. During this time, my contact with the family was minimal except for the birthdays and visiting them during the holidays. My sister was never the brightest of the bunch since she barely managed to get through high school. She dropped out of college and my parents helped her set up a small clothing shop so she could get off her feet. I was happy for her, but I had my own life. I also had a boyfriend, Jack, who I met in college and was from the same city. When we returned back home, we moved in together. He was also able to find a job soon enough, and we started to focus on our lives and each other. It was during the holidays of 2006 when I introduced my family to him. They were surprisingly warm and receptive towards him and also made me feel more loved than I had experienced in the past 22 years of my life. I noticed my sister was looking at him during that entire gathering, but thought nothing of it. Since then, she started frequenting my apartment a bit too often. We went from meeting each other once in 3 months to almost daily very quickly. At that point, I had to draw boundaries and tell her that she's welcome occasionally, but I did not like her presence in my place daily as she came during the evening when Jack and I were both at home and tried to unwind after a hectic day from work. That erupted into a huge fight with my parents. In the end, she apologized and said that she would not bother me. Then onwards, she used to come only once a month on a weekend, which I was okay with, and made attempts to make small talk with Jack, which was still fine by me as it never was anything beyond that. Things went on this way for some time. And in 2009, he proposed to me, and we announced our engagement to the entire family. My parents were happy for me, but my sister just shook my hand and left the small party I'd organized for this occasion. After that, I didn't see her for a couple of weeks. We got married in 2010, during which I noted my sister had an 8+1 named David, and she told us that she was dating him. I thought maybe now she could finally move past whatever feelings she had for Jack and focus on her own life. They moved real fast too, getting married almost 9 months later in 2011. Our marriage was going great. We had our first daughter, Alice, in 2011 and the second one, Sarah, in 2013. However, my sister's marriage did not progress as they hoped to, and they separated in 2012. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, David messaged me that Rachel was obsessed with Jack and that was the biggest reason for their separation. I apologized to him and wished him the best. I also talked to Jack and asked him about his interactions with David, and he told me that David always was a bit cold and distant towards him from the get-go. I decided to confront my sister in front of my family and asked her why is she destroying her life because of her obsession with my husband. She was blindsided with that question and denied everything. We had a massive argument that basically ended with me forgiving my sister and telling her that she is no longer welcome in my house. Both my parents and Jack talked to me and convinced me that no matter what, she was still family. So for everyone's sake, I decided to be amicable. It was then that it felt like she was genuinely working on herself and we went on with our lives. Fast forward to 2015, I can still recall that day vividly. It was the 25th July and I was running multiple errands. My husband took both our kids to see their grandparents. It was sometime after lunch that I got a call from my father telling me to come to their home and had a lot of anger in his tone. As soon as I entered, I noticed a lot of tension in the air. My husband was a crying mess and my parents were trying to console him. Some of my extended family members were there as well. I asked what happened, only to be hit by being called a rapist by my parents. I was shocked and confused. They claimed that a party I went to a couple of weeks back, I had decided to rope a guy and then texted him to not tell anyone about otherwise, there will be consequences. I had known this guy, Scott, for some time. We went to high school together and he was a part of the larger friends group that I occasionally hung out with. As per him, after the party, which was at a club, I followed him to his car and did it there. He shared screenshots of the alleged conversation with my husband and told him this entire tale. My father slapped me hard and my parents told me that they never want to see my face again. Jack was angry and he said that we're done. I tried to convince all of them that I never did that but fell on deaf ears. I was basically kicked out from their house and told that neither Jack nor the kids would be returning and my father would be coming over to take their stuff to my apartment. When my father came, I begged and pleaded, but he basically packed a couple of bags and told me never ever to contact them again and that he would personally hand me to the cops if that happened. By evening, Rachel had shared the screenshots and all the details to our extended family group on WhatsApp from where I was unanimously kicked out. The next few days, I even had people from my friend group calling me to say they were disgusted with me and never to contact them again. I was a mess during that time. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even properly work. My boss also heard the rumors going around, but couldn't do much until he saw some police action against me. He advised me that I leave the organization on my own to keep my record intact and that he would ensure that I don't have to even serve my notice period. I tried to argue the case, but he told me that if the cops come knocking on my door, he would be kicked out anyways. And in such a scenario and the gravity of the case meant, I won't get severance and my record will be tarnished. Grudgingly agreed to his ask and I left the organization in the next few days. In mid-August, while I was still wallowing in my misery, I received 2 documents from the court. One was a letter of disownment and the other were divorce papers. I was quite intoxicated, but I went to my parents' place anyway, only for my sister to come and lay hands on me and tell me that I was a disgrace to the family and it was good that I was disowned. I had blood coming out of my face by the time she was done with me and barely able to stand. My parents and my husband looked at me from afar but did nothing. I managed to get myself up after some time, a crying mess, and realized that I had lost everything and everyone I knew. I stayed holed up in my apartment for the duration of the divorce. It went as amicably as it could. As I was jobless, plus my now ex-parents stated they would pay for the child. I didn't have to pay child support or any alimony. By January 2016, I was divorced, but trying to pick up the pieces that was once my life was hard. During this time, I also felt like confronting Scott. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it could have made matters worse for me due to the men-centric laws in my country meant one phone call, and I would be looking at 5 to 6 years in jail.